My name is Mara Ellison. I'm 35 years old, and until one quiet Thursday afternoon, I genuinely believed my marriage was stable. Not perfect, not romantic in a movie way, but solid. Finn and I had been married for 6 years. We lived in a decent house in the suburbs, paid our bills on time, hosted dinners with friends, argued about paint colors and vacation plans like normal people. The kind of marriage where you stop checking for cracks because nothing obvious is breaking. Or so I thought. The moment everything started unraveling didn't come with shouting or tears. It came with a folder, a digital one. Finn had been asking me for weeks to set up automatic backups on his work laptop. He worked as an executive assistant for a senior VP at a tech firm downtown. Long hours, high pressure, constant anxiety about losing files or missing deadlines. "You're the security expert," he'd say, half joking. "If something crashes, I need you to make sure nothing disappears." That part made sense. I work as a network security analyst. Backups, redundancy, digital hygiene, that's my world. So that Thursday afternoon, while Finn was still at work, I connected a new external drive and started configuring his system. And immediately, something bothered me. His desktop was a mess. Files everywhere, random screenshots, documents with names like Final, Revised, V2. No structure, no logic. The kind of chaos that makes my eye twitch. I almost laughed to myself. How do you function like this? I was about to just enable full disk backup and walk away when I noticed something that didn't belong. A folder buried inside another folder, tucked several layers deep, as if someone had deliberately hidden it. The name stopped me cold. Backup plan. Not work, not taxes, not personal. Backup plan. That phrase doesn't belong to clutter, it belongs to intention. I hovered over it for a second. I should have closed the laptop, respected privacy, trusted my husband, but I didn't. Because my instincts, the same ones that tell me when a system is compromised, were screaming. I clicked. Inside were 3 neatly labeled folders. Research timeline materials. My chest tightened. Finn didn't organize anything like this. Not ever. I opened research. Dozens of screenshots loaded. Social media profiles, LinkedIn pages, Instagram stories, Facebook check-ins. All centered on one woman, Amanda. I recognized her immediately. Amanda was Donald's wife, Donald being the VP Finn worked for. I'd seen her once or twice at company events. Polished, well-spoken, the kind of woman people assumed had an easy life. The screenshots weren't casual. They were systematic. Amanda's Instagram posts annotated with notes about posting times. Her gym schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays, highlighted. Starbucks visits logged down to the minute, 7:15 a.m., same location, same order. Then I saw the real estate listing, a screenshot of Amanda and Donald's house pulled from a property site. The asking price circled in red, $2.4 million. Beside it, typed neatly, target lifestyle, achievable with correct positioning. My stomach dropped. I scrolled further. Amanda's jogging routes, grocery store habits, Facebook check-ins at restaurants, photos of her car, with the license plate visible. Then the detail that made my hands go cold. A document labeled kids, school schedule, pickup times, drop-off times, after-school activities. This wasn't curiosity. This was surveillance. I backed out of the folder and opened Timeline. A spreadsheet filled my screen, color-coded, month by month. Phase 1. Establish contact with a Phase 2. Build emotional trust. Phase 3. Create dependence. Phase 4. Identify vulnerabilities. Phase 5. Prepare evidence. At the bottom, execution. Next month, transition period. Finalize exit strategy. Exit! My throat tightened. I opened the notes column. They were clinical, detached, written like operational planning. A feels underappreciated. A expressed frustration with marriage. Position myself as emotional support. Exploit timing when D is unavailable. I whispered, "What the hell?" Then I opened materials, and that's when my blood went cold. Dozens of images appeared. Photos that looked like Finn and Amanda together. Not innocent photos, intimate ones. Restaurants with low lighting. Hotel lobbies. A bedroom scene with rumpled sheets in the background. A parking garage shot at night beside a luxury car. At first glance, they looked real enough to destroy a marriage. But I don't look at images like most people do. I checked the file properties. No camera data, no GPS, no legitimate XF information. Instead, AI generation markers, software signatures, Creation timestamps from image generation models. They were fake, fabricated, manufactured evidence. There was a document titled Final Steps. Finn planned to anonymously send the images to Amanda using a burner email, pair them with fake text screenshots, trigger a collapse of her marriage. Then, once she was emotionally destabilized, he would present himself as the one person who understood her. And buried inside a subfolder labeled Justification, I found the sentence that made my skin crawl. Amanda doesn't see me yet, but once her marriage is gone, she'll finally understand what I offer. Not love. Offer. Like a transaction. Then I found the file meant for me. Exit strategy. Mara. A scripted breakup conversation. We've grown apart. I need something more ambitious. This marriage is holding me back. I sat there staring at the screen, my pulse slow but heavy. This wasn't an affair. This wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated plan that had been unfolding for months, while I cooked dinners, folded laundry, trusted the man sleeping beside me. My hands didn't shake from sadness. They shook from adrenaline, because Finn had made one mistake. He thought I wouldn't understand what I was looking at. I documented everything, metadata from every AI-generated image, creation timestamps, software identifiers, hash values to prove file integrity, document revision histories showing months of edits. I pulled browser cache logs, how to generate realistic affair photos, anonymous email burner, how to delete XEF data, divorce settlement strategy. I worked like I always do, methodically, quietly, without emotion. By the time I finished, I wasn't heartbroken. I was focused. Finn thought he had a backup plan. What he didn't realize was that I had evidence, and unlike his, mine was real. Ricardo arrived 30 minutes later, jacket still on, keys clutched in his hand like he'd forgotten to set them down on the way in. He took one look at my face and stopped. "Mara," he said quietly, "you look like someone just died." I stepped aside and let him in. My voice was steady, which surprised even me. "Someone did," I said. "I just haven't told him yet." I led Ricardo straight to the kitchen table. Finn's laptop was still open. The backup plan folder sat there, unapologetic, like it had never expected consequences. Ricardo leaned over the screen. He didn't speak as he clicked through research, then timeline, then materials. His expression changed in stages: confusion, then disgust, then something close to fury. When he reached the spreadsheet, he let out a low breath. "This isn't an affair," he said. "This is predatory." "I know. And these images," he added, opening one of the AI-generated files. "If Amanda got these without context, her marriage would implode in a day." "That's the point." Ricardo straightened and looked at me fully. "Mara, this is criminal exposure, stalking, fabrication, intent to defraud, and the documentation alone, this is months of planning." "I've already pulled metadata and hashes," I said. "Everything is time-stamped, nothing touched." He nodded once, sharply. "Good. Because the most important thing right now is that you stay ahead of him." That sentence landed hard. Ahead. Like Finn was no longer my husband, but a threat vector. Ricardo took out his phone. "I'm calling Elaine Park, best civil litigator I know. No sentiment, no patience." "Good," I said. "I don't want patience." Elaine saw me first thing the next morning. She reviewed the evidence in silence, scrolling slowly, deliberately. When she reached the justification subfolder, her jaw tightened. "This is not impulsive," she said. "This is a campaign." "Yes." She set the tablet down. "You're married. That gives us leverage. Property, fault-based misconduct, restraining protections if needed. I want to move fast." "We will," Elaine said, "but cleanly. First, secure the legal ground. Second, exposure." "Donald, HR." Elaine nodded. "Exactly. If Finn is using company resources, company time, and targeting an executive's spouse, HR and legal will act immediately. Corporations do not tolerate liability." I hesitated for half a second. "Is there any chance this comes back on me? Accessing his laptop?" Elaine didn't hesitate. "You were asked to configure backups. Shared marital property, no password barriers. You're fine." I exhaled. "Do not confront him yet," she added. "Let him believe he's in control." That night I cooked dinner. Finn came home complaining about work, about Donald's long hours, about Amanda being emotionally distant and hard to read. He spoke casually, like he hadn't written a playbook about dismantling her life. I listened. I watched. And I waited. Monday morning felt surgical. Finn left for work at 8:30 a.m., kissed my cheek, told me he loved me. I watched his car disappear down the street and felt nothing. At 9:47 a.m., I sent the email. Anonymous, routed, clean. Subject, regarding Finn Patterson and documented misconduct. Attachments, everything. The timeline, the surveillance, the AI images with metadata. The hashes proving integrity. One copy to Donald, one copy to Elaine, with instructions to forward it directly to HR and legal. Then I waited. At 10:12, Elaine texted, HR and legal reviewing. At 10:28, emergency meeting scheduled. At 10:41, my phone lit up. Finn calling. I watched it ring, then again. Then messages started flooding in. Mara, something's wrong. They pulled my files. Donald is in the room with HR. Call me, please. I didn't respond. At 11:06, Elaine texted, they're terminating him. At 11:23, it's done, security escort. I poured myself coffee and sat at the table. At 11:34, the front door flew open. Finn stormed in, face flushed, hands shaking, eyes darting like he expected cameras. What did you do? He demanded. I didn't answer immediately. They showed me everything, he continued. My laptop, my files. How did they? His eyes landed on the computer. Realization hit him slowly, then all at once. You went through my laptop. Your backup plan folder? I asked calmly. That was private, he snapped. I laughed. I couldn't help it. You planned to destroy a woman's marriage with fabricated evidence, I said. And you're worried about privacy? You don't understand, he said sharply. Amanda and I... There is no you and Amanda, I interrupted. There never was. His expression hardened. Fine, he said. You want honesty? You're content with small. With safe. I wanted more. There it is, I said. You don't get ambition, he continued. Donald lives at a level you can't even imagine. Amanda lives in a house worth more than this one will ever be. That's the world I was moving toward. And I was collateral, I said. He didn't deny it. I slid the papers across the table. HR fired you, I said, and Amanda knows everything. She's filing a restraining order. His face drained. You sent it to her? She deserved to know she was being targeted. He stared at me like the ground had vanished under his feet. This isn't over, he said weakly. Oh, I replied, standing. It's over. You just didn't realize you lost. I glanced at the clock. You have until 8:00 p.m. to pack. This is my house, too. My name is on the deed, I said. Yours isn't. For a moment, pure hatred flashed across his face. I hope you die alone, he said. Then he turned and went upstairs, slamming drawers, ripping his life apart by sound alone. I sat back down, finished my coffee, and waited for the stranger in my bed to leave. Finn didn't leave quietly. He left like a man who believed volume could undo consequences. Drawers slammed upstairs, closet doors banged, a suitcase zipper jammed, yanked too hard, then yanked again. I heard something crash. Plastic, maybe a frame. He was swearing under his breath, then louder, then not bothering to lower his voice at all. I stayed at the kitchen table. I didn't follow him. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. At 7:41 p.m., he came downstairs dragging 2 suitcases and a cardboard box stuffed with cables, loose papers, and framed photos he hadn't bothered to wrap. His face was red and swollen, eyes glassy, with a mix of rage and panic. He stopped by the door and looked at me like he was waiting for something. An apology, a reversal, a crack. Where am I supposed to go? He asked. I glanced up from my phone. I was emailing Elaine, time-stamping the eviction, documenting his departure, logging the exact minute he crossed the threshold. A hotel, I said. Your parents, a friend's couch. I shrugged. Your car. He stared at me, jaw tight. You really don't care anymore. That's not what this is, I said. This is boundaries. He scoffed, shook his head like I was the unreasonable one, then yanked the door open and slammed it hard enough to rattle the windows. I waited until his engine started. Then I locked the door. I slept that night without dreaming. The harassment started 3 days later. Wednesday afternoon, my office security called my desk. Mara, the guard said carefully, there's a man here asking for you, says he's your husband. I closed my eyes. Please escort him out, I said, and document the incident. 10 minutes later, a text came in from an unfamiliar number. I just wanted to talk. You didn't have to humiliate me. I didn't respond. I took a screenshot, forwarded it to Elaine, blocked the number. That became the pattern. Burner phones, temporary email addresses, messages sent late at night, then early in the morning, then both. The tone swung wildly. I'm sorry, you ruined my life. I love you. You're cold. Voicemails left at 2 a.m., slurred and angry. Emails sent from accounts named apology, please, just listen, this isn't over. I saved everything. Date, time, method, content. I built a harassment file the same way I'd built the evidence against his plan, methodically, without commentary. Elaine reviewed it once a week. He's escalating, Shadi, she said, and he's documenting it for us. Finn's professional life collapsed faster than I expected. Donald didn't just fire him, he warned everyone who mattered. Executive circles are small. Legal departments talk. HR flags travel. Within 2 weeks, Finn had 3 interviews canceled after reference checks. One HR director told him outright, according to a voicemail he left me, that his risk profile was unacceptable. By week 4, he was living with his parents in their retirement community. 34 years old, unemployed, no apartment, no savings. Then he came to my house. It was a Thursday evening, just before 7. I was making pasta when the doorbell rang. I didn't move. I opened the security feed on my phone. Finn stood on the porch wearing an oversized hoodie and sweatpants, hair unwashed, shoulders slumped. A dented Honda was parked down the street, borrowed, most likely. I should have ignored him. Instead, I opened the door and stayed in the doorway. Mara, he said quietly, thank you for answering. I said nothing. Can I come in? He asked. I just want to talk. No. The word was flat, non-negotiable. He swallowed, looked down, took a shaky breath. I messed up, he said. I messed up everything. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, not defensive, finished. I've applied to 43 jobs, he continued. 43, and every single one either ghosted me or rejected me because of Donald. I waited. I'm staying with my parents, he said. In my old room. I don't have money. The lawyers wiped me out. He looked up, eyes wet. I was wrong about you, he said quickly. You're not weak. You're stable, loyal, dependable. Funny how those qualities became valuable only after his fantasy collapsed. I spent months planning to leave you for a woman who never wanted me, he said, and I threw away the person who actually loved me. I checked my watch. You done? No, please. His voice broke. I'm sorry for everything. We can fix this. Counseling, anything. I studied him for a long moment. 3 weeks ago, I was holding him back. Now I was his last option. No, I said quietly. His face crumpled. You were thinking clearly, I added. You just liked your options better then. Mara! We're finished, I said. The legal process is moving forward. Do not come back here. He took a step toward me. I closed the door. Locked it. Went back to my kitchen. I heard him stand there for a minute. Then footsteps. Then a car pulling away. Another text buzzed in from an unknown number. I meant it. I'm sorry. I love you. I blocked it. Deleted it. Finished cooking. Slept through the night. Amanda's restraining order should have stopped him. It didn't. The first violation happened at her gym. He waited in the parking lot until she finished her workout, tried to approach her near her car. She called the police. They warned him, filed a report. The second violation happened at her house. Saturday afternoon. He sat on her porch, waiting to explain. Donald told him to leave. He refused. Police again. Another report. Elaine called me that night. This is no longer emotional, she said. It's fixation. I already knew. Because I knew what he'd documented. Amanda's schedule, her routes, her habits. The same jogging path I'd seen highlighted in his research folder. And when that realization settled in fully, a cold certainty followed. Paper doesn't stop obsession. And Finn wasn't finished yet. Elaine called me at 9:18 a.m. on a Wednesday. The sound of her voice, tight, controlled, told me everything before she said a word. Mara, she said, are you somewhere you can sit down? I was standing at this kitchen counter, coffee untouched. I pulled out a chair anyway. What happened? There was a brief pause, not hesitation, calculation. Amanda was assaulted this morning, Elaine said, at the park. For a second, the words didn't connect. They floated, separate from meaning. Assaulted? I repeated. She's alive, Elaine said quickly, conscious. But Finn was arrested at the scene. My grip tightened on the edge of the table. Tell me, I said, slowly. Elaine exhaled. According to the police report, Amanda was jogging her usual route through the neighborhood park around 7:40 a.m. The usual route, the one highlighted in Finn's research folder, the one annotated with times, low visibility stretches, predictable turns. He was waiting near the bend by the trees, Elaine continued, not visible from the street. I closed my eyes. He approached her crying at first, she said. Said he just needed her to understand, that everything he did came from real feelings. Of course he did. Amanda told him to leave, Elaine went on. She tried to walk away. That's when he grabbed her arm. My stomach dropped. She pulled free. He grabbed her again, harder, started yelling. Witnesses say he told her she didn't deserve her marriage, that she wasted what she had. I felt sick. He shoved her, Elaine said. She stumbled, then he punched her, split her lip, left bruising on her arm. There was a brief silence. 2 joggers saw everything, Elaine finished. 1 step between them. The other called 911. Finn was still screaming when police arrived, trying to get past them to reach her. I pictured it without effort. The rage, the entitlement, the belief that force could still fix what planning hadn't. Amanda needed stitches, Elaine said. She's shaken, but stable. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The prosecutor wants your evidence, Elaine added, especially the research folder. It establishes premeditation. You'll have it, I said, all of it. Charges escalated quickly. By Friday, Finn was facing felony assault, criminal stalking, and multiple violations of restraining orders. No plea deal. Too many documented incidents. Too clear a pattern. Elaine explained it to me like a briefing. This wasn't a moment, she said. It was progression. Surveillance, fixation, escalation, violence. I thought about the spreadsheet, the phases, the execution date. Finn hadn't lost control. He'd followed his plan until reality refused to cooperate. The trial was scheduled for 6 weeks later. 6 weeks of keeping my routines intact. 6 weeks of not reading headlines. 6 weeks of letting the legal process do what it was designed to do. The trial lasted 4 days. I testified on the 2nd. Walking into the courtroom felt unreal, like watching my private life projected onto a public screen. Finn sat at the defense table in a suit that didn't quite fit. Posture stiff, eyes fixed straight ahead. He didn't look at me. I didn't need him to. The prosecutor displayed the folders one by one. Research, Amanda's routines, her children's schedules, her jogging routes, timeline, color-coded phases, months of preparation. Materials, AI-generated images stripped of illusion by metadata and creation logs. This was not impulsive, the prosecutor said evenly. This was planned. The joggers testified next. Calm, precise, clear. They described seeing Finn grab Amanda, hearing him shout, watching him swing. Amanda took the stand on day 3. Her voice was quiet, steady, until it wasn't. I didn't feel safe anywhere, she said. Not at the gym, not at the grocery store, not running in my own neighborhood. When I learned he'd tracked my children's schedules, she paused, swallowed. I felt hunted. Donald testified after her. He described firing Finn, the emails, the voicemails, the insistence that Amanda would eventually understand. Finn's attorney attempted a mental health defense. Stress, emotional collapse, poor judgment. The prosecutor countered by displaying the timeline. Breakdowns don't come with spreadsheets, she said. They don't involve months of data collection and strategic planning. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. 2. They returned a unanimous verdict. Guilty on all counts. Finn didn't react. Sentencing came the following week. 18 months in county jail. 3 years of probation. Mandatory psychiatric treatment. Permanent restraining orders for Amanda and for me. If these orders are violated, the judge said, you will return to custody. Finn's mother tried to speak. The judge stopped her. These are not mistakes, he said. They are deliberate, escalating actions. Outside the courthouse, Ricardo was waiting. Well, he said quietly, that's done. I nodded. He couldn't accept losing, Ricardo said. No, I replied. Some people can't. And for the first time since I opened that folder, I felt the weight begin to lift. The civil side of it ended with far less drama than the criminal case. Finn's attorney filed a countersuit claiming I had violated his privacy by accessing his laptop without permission. It was thin, desperate, the kind of filing meant to create noise, not win. Elaine dismantled it in under 10 minutes. The judge scrolled through the evidence on the monitor. Fake AI images, the stalking timeline, Amanda's documented routines, the exit script where Finn compared my stability to Amanda's status. Then he looked up at Finn's lawyer. Are you seriously arguing, he asked flatly, that privacy protections extend to documented plans for fraud, stalking, and harassment? There was no answer. Motion denied, the judge said. Case dismissed. Just like that, Finn lost the last illusion that the system might somehow balance the scales in his favor. 3 months after the arrest, the marriage was legally over. I signed the final paperwork in Elaine's office on a quiet Tuesday morning. No ceremony, no tears, just signatures and dates. When I walked outside afterward, the sky was clear and painfully blue. I stood there longer than necessary, breathing, letting the facts settle. There was nothing left tying my life to his. 6 months later, I sold the house. It went slightly above asking price. A young couple bought it. Excited, optimistic, already talking about repainting the kitchen. I wished them well without giving them my history. Some places don't need to carry the weight of what happened inside them. I moved downtown in early September. A two-bedroom apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and constant city noise. A place that felt awake, not echoing. A place that belonged to me alone. I slept better almost immediately. In October, I started dating again. Not intentionally, not as a milestone. It just happened. His name was Evan. We met at a cybersecurity conference, of all places. He understood my work without me having to translate it into something more impressive. He didn't rank careers or talk about people like assets. We took things slowly. Dinners, long walks, conversations that didn't feel like negotiations. He asked about Finn once. I gave him the short version. No theatrics, no details meant to shock. He nodded and said, "Some people see relationships as transactions. You're better off without that." I agreed. Ricardo and I still met most weekends. One night, months after sentencing, we sat at our usual bar, watching a game neither of us cared about. He glanced at me over his glass. "You ever regret how you handled it?" he asked. "Going nuclear instead of confronting him quietly?" I thought about it for a moment. "No," I said. He was weeks away from destroying someone else's life and walking away from mine like it didn't matter. He doesn't get to avoid consequences. Ricardo nodded. "Fair." We clinked glasses. Finn was serving his sentence in county jail. According to Ricardo, who heard through an attorney friend, he was enrolled in the mandatory psychiatric program, doing exactly what was required and nothing more. Progress was noted. Sincerity was questionable. He had another year before parole eligibility. Given his history of restraining order violations and documented escalation, no one expected leniency. It wasn't my concern anymore. Donald and Amanda stayed together. They went to counseling, worked through what had been done to them, built something sturdier than what Finn had assumed would collapse. Donald sent me a brief email once. "Thank you for the warning. I'm sorry you were dragged into this." I appreciated it. I didn't respond. We weren't friends, just people who'd been targeted by the same man and survived it. People sometimes ask if it felt like revenge. It didn't. It felt like documentation. It felt like refusing to be someone's backup plan. It felt like watching a person experience the consequences of choices they believed would never touch them. Finn thought I was safe to discard. He thought stability was weakness. He was wrong. And that wasn't victory. It was just reality. Peace didn't arrive all at once. It came quietly, through small absences I didn't notice at first. One morning, months after everything ended, I woke up in my apartment with sunlight spilling across the floor and realized I hadn't checked my phone in panic all night. No dreams of Finn, no replaying conversations, no mental audits of doors and locks. Just silence. That was how I knew it was over. Not because he was gone, but because my body had stopped bracing. Life settled into something steady. Work filled my days in a way that felt constructive instead of distracting. I accepted a leadership role I'd deferred for years, not to prove anything, but because I trusted my judgment again. I rebuilt routines slowly, chose them deliberately. Evan stayed. He never asked me to minimize what happened or dramatize it for effect. When I shared pieces, he listened, then let them rest where they belonged, in the past. One night, while we were cooking together, he asked gently, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found it?" I didn't answer immediately. "I think," I said finally, "Amanda's life would have been destroyed. Mine would have been rewritten without my consent, and Finn would have called it ambition." Evan nodded. "Then I'm glad you found it." So was I. Ricardo kept me loosely informed, the way you update someone about a storm that's already passed. Finn remained in treatment. He still framed his actions as mistakes rather than choices. The parole board took notes. No promises were made. I didn't follow it closely. Amanda sent me a card once. No return address, just a short note inside. "Thank you for believing evidence matters. You didn't save my marriage. You saved my sense of safety." I cried when I read it. Not from pride, from relief. People love to ask for lessons, as if suffering owes clarity. This is the closest thing I have. Pay attention to what people plan when they think no one is watching. Love doesn't require spreadsheets. Ambition doesn't demand surveillance, and anyone who treats people like stepping stones eventually trips. Finn believed I was his backup plan. He believed I was too stable to leave, too reasonable to fight back. What he didn't account for was this: I don't panic. I document, and I refuse to be collateral damage in someone else's fantasy of success. Now I live in a city apartment with light I chose, a career built on real skills, and a life that doesn't need permission from anyone who once thought I was replaceable. That's not revenge. That's freedom.